Hey, what's up guys? Jordan here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to fix a bad overhead track in the mix. Pretty common problem that I have to deal with. So let's just check out a mix here quickly. So definitely not a bad mix. Now let's zero in on the overhead. So if I bypass the processing that I did here. So if you look at the waveform on the overhead track here, you can tell just by looking at it that it wasn't really recorded super well. You can see that the snare spike on it is like super loud and then everything else is super quiet. So right away, you know that there's a ton of kit and mostly snare in these overhead mics and not a lot of cymbal, which is not really great because I want to have clear, nice, clean cymbals in my mix. And you can hear how this really messes with the rest of my drum sound. It's really muddy. The cymbals are not cutting through at all. So this is actually a pretty common problem I get. I think that a lot of people just don't really know what they're aiming for when they're miking up a drum kit or how to get like a clear focused cymbal sound from the source. And so you end up with stuff like this a lot. I'm probably dealing with this maybe like close to half of the mixes that I work on. So how do you deal with this? Well, there's a couple different ways. You could use a bunch of EQ. You could try to make it way brighter, but of course you're still going to have all that snare in the track anyway. You could cut out a bunch of low end, which I would do anyway. So that's the first step. You can see what I did here on this EQ. That's like crazy, right? So just by sucking out a ton of the low end, you instantly like get rid of a lot of the kit sound, especially the muddiness in it. So that helps a lot already. You still have a lot of kind of a boxy snare sound in there. It's way better, but it's still gonna affect the sound of your snare that you've crafted kind of on the individual tracks and any samples you've added. As you try to push up this overhead mic to get more cymbals in the mix, you're gonna be kind of bringing down the snare sound as well. And by bringing down, I don't mean volume, I mean like making it sound worse. Now I also have a compressor on here. You can hear it's kind of helping duck down the snare hits a little bit so the cymbals are a bit more focused, and what we end up with is this. So not bad, but again, the cymbals are too quiet. So if I'm trying to crank those up, again, not bad, but then we end up with a lot of that boxy snare sound kind of infiltrating the rest of the drum sound. So I'm going to show you a plugin that I developed with my new company that I launched last year called Black Salt Audio. This plugin is called Oxygen, and it will fix this problem in about 2 seconds. So let me show you. There you go. We have cymbals. Thanks for watching this video. Go buy the plugin. No, I'm totally kidding. I'll dig in a little more into what this plugin does, but this plugin is very versatile. Actually, you can use it on anything. It's been really cool to see what people have been using it on. But specifically, I'll talk about just how you can use it on cymbals here. Now, this can just be a subtle thing that you can add to a well-recorded overhead track to just kind of give some sheen and brightness to the cymbals. In a cleaner way than you would get with EQ. You know, if you crank up the EQ on overhead tracks like this, I hardly ever do it because it sounds messy and harsh. I don't know why. This will do it in a much cleaner, more transparent way than simply boosting the EQ will. But actually, one of the inspirations for building this plugin was problems like this, where I just didn't have enough clear, like high-end information in a track where I really needed it. So this plugin really just adds it like super easily. It's like in this case, this knob could just be labeled cymbals. Like, let's just turn up the cymbals. Sounds awesome. Now, in addition to that, we've got saturation, which is specifically dialed in for top end, and you can add it just to the top end here. So that's just going to help your high frequencies just take up more space in the mix while also staying smooth. So maybe you want just a little bit of that. And then this control function over here, this is compression that again specifically acts on the high frequencies that you're adding. You can have in punch mode, which is going to emphasize the transients, or smooth, which is going to do the opposite of that. So in this case, again, I still want to tuck that snare in. So I'm going to use the smooth mode. You hear how the cymbals just get a little more even? Watch this again. Let's check this out in the context of the mix. So when it comes to this problem with overhead tracks like this, which again, I don't know about you, but I get this kind of problem and these kind of tracks sent to me all the time. This would be something that would normally take me like 5 steps to work around and like figure out a similar solution that would give me this kind of result. And this plugin does it in one knob. So pretty awesome for this type of situation. And that's kind of the main thing I wanted to show you in this video, because I'm sure you're probably getting sent tracks like this too. So check out Oxygen. It's at blacksaltaudio.com. Depending on when you're watching this video, if you're watching it close to release, you might be able to get a discounted price on that. It is on sale right now. So go to blacksaltaudio.com, check it out. You can just pick up the plugin now or download a 14-day trial if you want to try it out in your sessions first. Now I'm going to show you a couple other spots where this plugin could be useful. I'll show you somewhere else on drums here. So on snare, let's check out the punch mode of the compressor and let's see what this can do for snare. See what it sounds like. It's a tough call, which mode is better. The bite is nice. But the air gives it that kind of crack and attack at the top end. Let's stick with the air mode. Now this time, let's use punch mode and crank up the control here. So that's just adding more of like a front edge attack to the transient in the top end specifically. And the saturation is going to help just lengthen it, give it some sizzle. Check out this. And let's bypass these 2 instances of Oxygen. So you can see why we named it Oxygen. It's just like, boom, it just breathes life and air and energy into the mix. So obviously this is a great plugin for anything that's like that you just want that smooth, crystal clear, clean top end. Like of course acoustic guitars, vocals, obviously a huge one where it sounds awesome, especially in the air mode. But even in unexpected places like on a bass track. Now I didn't even think of using this on bass. My friend Roloff tipped me off to this because he started using it. But listen to how you can add some grind to a bass track. Sounds awesome. Look, I could go on and on about ways you could use this plugin. There are lots of other videos that people have done about Oxygen. You can just search YouTube for those. But check it out. If you're struggling with your high end, if you feel like you don't have that clean, clear top end, whether it's on your drums, your overheads, if you want like a more bright attack crack on your snare, it's great for that, like I showed you here. And of course on the vocals, really it sounds amazing on anything, even on a bus or even mixed bus, just for a little extra polish and sweetness. Obviously I'm biased. Again, it's my company, I created this, but it's awesome. And I'm using, every time I mix now, I'm using plugins that I created, which is a ton of fun. I'm really loving it. So we've got more on the way, which I'm excited to tell you about, but I wanted to show you how Oxygen really just completely fixes this overhead problem that I think a lot of you might struggle with. So check it out, blacksaltaudio.com, and hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you in the next one.